At the center of each episode of the new podcast, Death County, PA, is a dead body. In each episode, a young man enters the Dauphin County Prison in Pennsylvania, perfectly healthy, perfectly fine, but they leave in critical condition and then they die in nearby hospitals. What is going on? Local authorities said their deaths were the result of medical incidents or that it wasn't clear how they died. But why then did some bodies have so much bruising? Why were their teeth missing? So many questions. Penn Live reporter Josh Vaughn spent years looking into the dead bodies that kept piling up in the notorious Dauphin County Prison, and he partnered with the city council official Lamont Jones to shed light on what he found. Today, I'm thrilled to chat with journalist Josh Vaughn and city council official Lamont Jones. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Josh, how did you come upon this story from the Dauphin County Prison?
So I joined Penn Live in November of 2021, and it became pretty clear pretty early on that there were issues at the jail. Just hearing about people dying, it wasn't long after I joined that Jamal Crumbl, who's at the center of our third episode of the podcast, died in the middle of the winter from what turns out to be hypothermia. So it became pretty apparent pretty quickly that there were things going on at Dauphin County that went beyond just one or two bad actors, but involved systemic and long-standing issues of potential corruption, of just lack of care for the people in their custody, neglect, abuse, all that sort of stuff. And I wanted to know more.
You know what it reminded me of? Have you heard of the Dozier, the school for boys, the reform school in Florida, where they kept either disappearing, dying, being injured, or whatever? It's a very similar story to me, and just as a frightening one, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's at this point we're at 22 people who have died at Dauphin County Prison since the beginning of 2019. We're not talking anywhere to the scale, the size of the jail of like an LA County or Rikers Island. It's a relatively small facility, and people keep dying. And again, it's every time we kind of dive into it, there's something either missing in what the officials said about what happened to the person, or you can really kind of point to, we should have caught something here, we should have caught something there, and then what are we doing to prevent this from happening to the next person? And the answers seem to be, at least officially, very little to nothing, which is beyond frustrating.
Lamont, you are a former Dauphin County Prison inmate. What was your experience like there?
How much time do we have? No, it was. I was a very young man when I first got incarcerated, so it was an experience, But I did maybe a couple stints in that prison, and I realized quickly that there was a culture there, with the guards and how they treated you. That there was always some type of physical altercation. With the guards, if you got into an altercation with a guard on one shift, they wouldn't touch you on that shift. It would be another shift that comes in, and then that would be the shift that come in and get physical with you. No charges were filed, none of that. So it became kind of like commonplace for us. So, it was almost like a normal thing, and that's sad to say, but that was the kind of experience that I had there. It was just always a tough place to serve time at. Not that anyone. Go ahead.
It became normal. It was just a normal.
This is how it goes.
Yeah. Did you knew people who were injured, hurt, or died?
Yeah. My cousin was actually one of them, Tyreek Riley. I knew Jamal Crumbl. I knew Herb Tillman. It was a bunch of guys that I knew growing up with, and they ended up passing away in that prison.
So if they ended up passing away in the prison, I'm sure people did no one did anything about it? Did their family members, loved ones, anybody go to the authorities and said, "Hey, you guys need to look into this"?
Of course, and it's just been this is a tough political city. It's being the capital of Pennsylvania. It's a tough place politically. That political aura is here, and it's thick, meaning you can have it's like clicks here, and it's just tough to crack. So, for one of the things after my incarceration, of course, my life has changed drastically or greatly since then. And I was able to go back to the prison and serve on the advisory committee board, where I would be a liaison between the community and the prison officials. So the families wanted answers, and I was sitting at the table to be able to bring forth their grievances and hopefully find answers. So one of the things that I was able to do doing that, this gentleman's writing jumped out to me, because sometimes you can feel like the work is being done in vain. And then I started to see these articles. I seen one from Josh Vaughn, and I was like, okay, this was well written. Then I seen another one. Then I seen another. I said, oh man, okay, this guy is serious. He's writing Pulitzer Prize stuff. So we definitely had to find a way to, because now, that's the way you go to the media, and a lot of things get more attention. So I thought that was one of the best ways we would be able to shed light on what was happening in Dauphin County Prison.
Stand by for a word from our sponsors. Support for the Don Lemon Show comes from Beam. Summer's almost here. And let's be honest, that doesn't mean that we can slow down and take a break. The news cycle is relentless. Every day we get served up a new outrage designed to overwhelm us, take us out of the fight. This is the right trying to scare us. They want us to get burnout. They want us to tune out to what's happening, and they want us to roll over. But we can counteract that by waking up every single day ready, refreshed, and energized. That's why I turn to Beam's Dream Powder. It is a natural sleep blend. It is designed to help you get the deep restorative rest your body and mind need to stay in the fight. Because here's the truth. You cannot sustain the fight without rest. Burnout serves the people in power who love nothing more than to see you exhausted and to see you checked out. With science-backed ingredients like reishi, magnesium L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin, Dream helps you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up ready to organize, resist, and raise hell without the fog or the crash. Since I've started using Dream, my focus has come back, my energy is returned, I am ready to face the day, ready to stand up for the things that really matter. And I'm not the only one. Beam's Dream Powder has improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep for people all across the country. Oh, and did I mention it tastes incredible? It's smooth, it's delicious, and it's easy to add to your nightly routine. Simple, effective, and it works. So right now, Beam is offering up to 40% off their best-selling Dream Powder for my listeners. It is a limited time offer and the perfect way to overcome that exhaustion and stay in the fight every day. So go to shopbeam.com and use the code word LEMON at checkout. That is shop, BEAM.com/lemon. And use the code LEMON for up to 40% off. Sleep well, wake up ready, the fight continues. The most disturbing case that you talk about, that you discuss on the podcast, what is that?
Whew. I mean, I think that they're all pretty.
Everyone starts with a dead body, right? And you tell the story.
Yeah. I think they're all disturbing kind of in their own way. Jamal's one that always kind of jumps out to me, just given how it all went down. We're talking a relatively young man who has mental health issues, goes into this jail, is in and out of jail and prisons, because that's where we now send people with mental health problems that cause a bit of disorder. We send them to our jails and they become our mental health facilities, but they're not set up to be that. So he's having mental health issues, and he's there for months, and then develops hypothermia in his cell, which just is in and of itself its own problem. Like, no facility, you shouldn't be able to develop hypothermia inside of a jail cell, period. He develops hypothermia inside of his cell. He gets sent to the hospital, is in the hospital for a month, and then is sent back to the same cell block where he again gets hypothermia and dies. And it's just, his encapsulates so much of what's going on there, because it isn't just you can't point and be like, this was just one bad actor. This is one person who didn't do their job. There were several people along the chain that clearly you could have caught this earlier. You could have fixed it. We could have done something about it, and we didn't. You hear from two COs in that episode about how they tried to get help for Jamal, that he was there. He was, unconscious, and the medical staff did nothing for him. and they had to go in and basically fight to get him out to the hospital the next day. But you have a facility that's broken down so badly that you can develop hypothermia, that there's heating in the jail, but it's in the hallways. It's the heating vents are in the hallways, so there's no heat getting into the cells. And then you find out that like they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on things like gun range memberships for COs, and they're paying consultants hundreds of thousands of dollars when you could have been fixing the HVAC system. You could have been doing these things to fix it and make it better. It's just this complete indifference. His really just strikes me because it just hits on so many points. But I mean, an Ishmael Thompson, where it's just, again, another young guy who shows up, and it's just the brutality of the system. He gets into an altercation with guards, pepper sprayed, spit hooded, put in a restraint chair, keeps saying, I can't breathe, and then dies.
Why isn't anything done about this? Like, what is, are there any repercussions? Is there anything, there's a state, meaning, I don't mean the state, meaning the authorities, is it doing anything about it?
So this, I mean, not a lot, or at least it certainly doesn't seem like a lot. What I can say is when I first came in, it really felt like the playbook for the way the county and the jail dealt with these issues was, we know we're going to get bad press. We know it's going to be bad for a little bit. We're going to ride it out. We're going to make it seem like we're doing little things here and there. Like after Tyreek died, they instituted body cameras, which it's paid for through, or it had been paid for through the commissions on phone calls. So the incarcerated people themselves were paying for the body cameras. But then you don't get access to the body camera footage, and you just move on. And then something else bad happens. There's bad press. There had never been particularly, I think, enough pressure to consistent pressure to get them to really start making changes. And you have a lot of people who are just, whether it is willful corruption trying to protect each other, or just a viewpoint that what happens to the people in custody is their own fault, that, you know, when something happens, the blame gets pointed at somebody else to limit liability on the county and limit the liability on the officials. I mean, after Ishmael died, he was improperly put in a restraint chair. No one was punished. This is a guy who died in your custody. No one was punished for it. The lieutenant who was supposed to be overseeing the restraint chair was promoted to be the training officer. Like,
so then how does something get done about that? It's awful. I get it. I mean, and it's, look, this is fucked up. But and I think this is one of the probably, you know, maybe more egregious examples of what happens in prison. But Dauphin County, this prison is not alone, is it?
Sure.
Right? It's not alone.
No. What I would say, to add to what Josh explained, you know, my thing came down to the coroner. You know, and you know, in-house, that's one thing. That's one thing where if the public doesn't know, we're not aware how these individuals actually ended up being deceased. Because when it comes out in the paper or that coroner's report, which was very important, and I just always thought that, and I think it was Ishmael that had to get re-exhumed, right?
They got a second opinion.
They had a second opinion on his autopsy, and it came back a homicide. So I'm saying, look, if this one, you got to go back and redo them all. You know, especially when it came to my cousin Tyreek. You know, I looked at the pictures, and it was just, it's like it was a beating, and he was fair skinned. He was very high yellow. So you can, you know, the body's going to tell you some things after the fact. You know,
you
and
can
it just
see the bruising and all of the, right?
Yeah, man, and to hear what they said the cause was, and I waited for the coroner's report, and actually we had words a couple times because I just couldn't take what he was saying to be factual. And looking at those pictures, the body told a different story. So I think that's one of the reasons why it really didn't grow legs. So Josh was a blessing to our city and those families to be able to. Go ahead.
Yes, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to get to the bottom of it, because you said his body was exhumed. Did they find anything after?
I misspoke. I think it was just a second opinion over the autopsy.
Yeah,
he got another
autopsy. The use of force reports were given to a second expert. But I think
what did the second expert say?
That it was a homicide. That his interaction with the guards is what killed him.
And what was done about it?
At this point, well, the family was able to sue, and they were given a $4.25 million settlement. But at this point, I think there's been a few little changes here and there. But I mean,
What needs to be done? That's what I want to know. You said there have been a few
yeah,
changes. What needs to be done in order to fix this?
yeah, and I think what really comes down to, and I hope that the podcast, through the last couple episodes and through Lamont's story as well, kind of gets this point as well. These are elected officials. These are people that can make the change. We have one commissioner who just got elected in 2023, took office in 2024, Justin Douglas, who appears in the last 3 episodes, who ran on prison reform, ran on reforming the jail. He's one of 3 members. He's one of 7 members on the prison board. But he's an elected official who's making now the decisions. Lamont Jones is another person. I mean, he's got political power. The coroner is an elected official. These are elected officials who we have the ability to go to them to, if we don't like what's happening in our local government, in our local communities, to get new people in. Especially like these off-cycle elections, they tend to be so low turnout, and it's just the person that we know. But these are hugely important offices. And we have seen change since Justin has gotten into office. We have Prime Care Medical, which is the company that provides healthcare services to the jail and has for the last 40 years, has never been audited, has never had their contract even put out to see what other companies are out there. They now are the subject of an audit because of Justin. They're up for an RFP, which means there are other companies, and they're potentially going to be out after 40 years of, some bad situations and what we've come to find, some potential corruptions of their former owner paying and giving money to a commissioner who was voting on these issues. So I mean, there is power. It's not like the people are powerless, but we got to get these elected officials in office to actually make these changes that need to be made.
It just seems weird. It seems like there would be more public pressure behind it if you have this happening. What is this? How does race play into this?
I mean, all 3 of the individuals that we talked about are all young Black men. Black men tend to be significantly overrepresented. There's a UCLA report, a team of researchers from UCLA looked at the deaths at Dauphin County Prison and found that Black men are subjected to more violence, and that our elected coroner, appears to habitually misclassify deaths that would be attributable to violence against these individuals as natural or undetermined. And again, that's something that it's Black men tend to be much more subjected to that.
Have you guys gone to the Department of Justice?
I have. We've spoken with them. At this point, there's no investigation of Dauphin County that I'm aware of. Obviously, we are in a well, obviously we're in a very different situation now than we were even a year ago with the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice. And we're a state that the Department of Corrections here does not have particularly oversight of county jails. So the counties run them themselves. Like they do an inspection every 2 years. The inspection in 2023 found, and it's from their own report, piles of cockroaches in the dishwasher area, meat being stored on the floor, and they still pass the inspection. Like they're still allowed to continue.
A lot of the fight, Don, if I may, comes from the community.
Yeah.
And people such as himself. We have a commissioner, Justin Douglas. We have the advisory committee. We have
Prison Society.
Yeah, the Prison Society Board as well. So we constantly are going inside of the prison, having access to the prison, which is a rare thing that you can just go inside, and we want to walk around the jail and see the conditions, and then we try to report out on that. And so I think with this podcast, it definitely is shedding some light. And of course, if we can make it to Don Lemon, somebody's going to see this.
How do you fix it? How do you fix this?
I believe the same thing that he said. It has to change. You have to change some of the individuals that are there. There's a culture there. There's a culture inside of Dauphin County Prison itself that's been that way for about 40 years. And that's something that you're going to have to change. If you can change the people in it, like the wardens have changed, but the culture hasn't. You still have those same guards there, and you just have to come in, and somebody has to come in and wear a black hat, in my opinion. And then there's other people that have to want to step up to the plate, that's willing to serve and not be worried about the ridicule or the repercussions of standing on the front line and protecting people's families.
And
So
they need to clean house. I believe they
yeah,
probably need to clean house. What do you think about abolishing prisons? Is it any? Do you any of you identify as a prison
abolishment.
abolitionist? Yeah,
Um, it's pretty close. However, I think we do need to make sure that we are holding individuals accountable. What would accountability look like if we got rid of prisons? That would
right.
be the question for me. So, but I know from me and my experience being incarcerated, there are things at the time I was incarcerated. We had something that was called the master's program
Yeah.
in the state penitentiaries. You can go into prison and come out with degrees
Mm-hmm.
for free. The taxpayers would be paying for that, and of course, that became a catch-22. Why are they going to prison and I have to struggle to pay my child's tuition, and they can go to prison and come out? But I thought that's what prison was supposed to be about:
Right.
rehabilitation, meaning change. And you go in and you come out a better a citizen, someone that's really getting acclimated and back into society as a productive citizen in your respected area. So getting rid of them, I just can't see that completely, because what would you do after that?
Yeah. Well, that's what it's supposed to be about, as you said, rehabilitation and restitution. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I hope a lot of people see this, and I hope the right people see it, so that you can get some help and some real change can be made there. Josh Vaughn and Lamont Jones, thank you both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.